Lockport meeting for Tuesday, April 9th. Would you please stand for a pledge of the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kathy, would you call the roll call, please?
You got it. Janine is absent. Garland?
Here.
Maloney?
Here.
Oxley?
Yes.
Peters is absent. Likens?
Here.
Quinn?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 12 meeting? Any corrections? So moved. Moved by Garland.
Second.
Second, and one note.
Excuse me. Let me recognize the second, please. Second by Quinn. And comments from Mr. Likens?
Sorry.
That's all right.
On page, I wasn't sure, 1, 2, 4, there is, under the motion to adopt staff's findings recommended, I know Matt made a suggestion to put a speed tablet in the internal road. It's probably just a Scrivener's error. Table. Whatever that is.
Speed bump.
I would have said bump, but it's just me. I'm not a civil
Okay.
engineer.
Do you want me to make that adjustment?
Yes, please, correct.
Just so everybody knows what that is.
All right, I will.
Speed inhibiting device. Proper terminology for it. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Corrections? Anyone all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Okay, tonight we have a special use, public hearing for a special use permit for a planned residential development and a preliminary final plat, wall one step. It's a residential townhome building, 5 units. Do we have a motion to open the public hearing, please?
So moved.
Moved by Likens, second by Garland. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Who's presenting tonight? Kimberly?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Good evening, members of the Commission. Case PZC number 2024-004 before you this evening. The applicant, Zachary Conan, is requesting approval of special use permit for a planned residential development to allow a townhome building with 5 units for the property located at 25 Charles Street. This project is considered an infill development of a vacant parcel that's surrounded by existing development. The request includes preliminary and final development plan and subdivision plat in one step. A zoning map is displayed on your monitor. The subject property is highlighted in red. The parcel is a vacant parcel, and there is an existing apartment development to the west and south, townhomes on the east, and duplex homes to the north. This parcel appears to have been originally intended to be a part of the apartment community, as it has R4 multifamily zoning. However, it was not developed and remained vacant for many years. Through the years, city staff has received inquiries for this parcel by potential buyers. However, the size constraints of the parcel would not allow more apartments. Today, the proposal before you is for a townhome building having 5 units. A special use permit for a new planned development is being requested to accommodate the existing physical constraints of the property. A planned development is needed when there are 2 or more variances needed. The proposed building will require the following variances: corner side yard setback from 20 feet to 12 feet, maximum impervious surface coverage from 55% to 66%, rear yard setback from 20 feet to 12 feet, and interior side yard setback from 6.5 to 6 feet. A special use permit shall be granted only if evidence is presented to establish the following: A, the proposed building or use at the particular location requested is necessary or desirable to provide a service or facility which is in the interest of the public and will contribute to the general welfare of the community. Staff finds that the proposed special use for planned development meets the standards established in Section 156.144. The proposed development will introduce 5 housing units to the community that are being designed similarly to the surrounding attached housing. B, the proposed building or use will not have a substantial adverse effect upon the adjacent property, the character of the neighborhood, traffic conditions, utility facilities, and other matters affecting the public health, safety, and general welfare. The proposed development will not have an adverse effect upon adjacent property or the character of the neighborhood. The project will not negatively impact traffic conditions or create any health or safety concern. And C, the proposed building or use will be designed, arranged, and operated so as to permit the development and use of the neighboring property in accordance with applicable district regulations. The property is zoned R4, which allows for multifamily. The proposed development has a lesser intensity that could be allowed in R2 single-family attached zoning district. A final plat of subdivision was provided. The plat of subdivision that was included in your packets shows the property will be divided into 5 separate lots. Each lot will be individually owned. The plat shows a 5-foot public utility and drainage easement. However, this will be reduced to a 3-foot easement in order to allow a rear yard area for a small patio for future residents. The updated plat will be needed prior to the committee of the whole meeting, and this will become a condition of approval. The final site plan is displayed. The site plan illustrates that the building's 5 units are approximately 1,400 square feet in area, each having an attached garage and separate asphalt driveway. Each unit has direct access to Princess Court. The townhome building is set back 20 feet from Princess Court, and a sidewalk is being provided on Princess Court and Charles Street. The rear yard and corner side yards will be 12 feet, and the interior side yard will be 6 feet. Building elevations are displayed. The elevations show that the townhomes are a traditional architectural style. The first floor will include brick on the front facade. The upper story of the front facade will be vinyl siding, and the remaining elevations will be primarily vinyl. The applicant worked with staff to provide additional architectural design features in exchange for the vinyl. Staff supports the design for this infill project. The rear elevations are displayed on the monitor. A final landscape plan has been submitted, and the plan is in substantial conformance, having sodded yards, foundation plantings, and required street trees. Engineering review. The final engineering plans have been reviewed by the city's development engineering consultant, Jamlin and Associates. Staff concerns have been addressed. The fire district and building official have no comments at this time. The building official reminds the applicant that each unit will require fire sprinklers and that EV electrical stations will need to be provided in accordance with 2024 state statute. Should the commission find that evidence was presented to establish that the proposed special use will comply with the standards contained in section 156.122 of the city code, the special use permit for a planned residential development, and finds the request acceptable, the following motion is suggested. A motion to adopt staff's findings and recommend approval of the special use permit for a planned residential development, preliminary and final development plan with subdivision plat, and one condition that an updated plat of subdivision is needed prior to the committee of the whole meeting. The applicant and his design team are here this evening to answer questions. That concludes staff's analysis, and the committee of the whole meeting is scheduled for May 1st.
Kimberly, you mentioned in the site plan separate asphalt driveways. The drawings are showing concrete driveways. Are they going with concrete or asphalt?
That is the staff error. It's concrete.
Okay.
Thank you for
That's fine.
bringing that to my attention.
May, what is the, here, meeting, May 1?
First.
Okay. Is the applicant here? Come on up to the podium, please. State your name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Zachary Conan. My address is 1204 West Alcott Street in Chicago.
Okay. Would you raise your right hand, please?
Sure.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. How's that, Lance? Tell Sonny I got an A for today. Okay. Welcome. You've got an interesting site to develop there. It's going to take some work, and you've worked with staff pretty well on it. It looks like a pretty good design.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to tell us about it, or what?
Pretty much as Kimberly stated, we're looking to construct these 5 townhomes. I've done 2 projects in Lockport, and I really like city of Lockport, and I look to accomplish more projects. And we're excited to be here.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Zach. Is there anyone from the public wish to speak? Please come to the podium. State your name and address for the record.
Larry Grubart. I own
I'm sorry.
525 Charles. Larry Grubart.
Your first name, sir?
Larry.
Larry, okay. Would you raise your right hand, please?
Sure.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, before you begin, 525?
I own 525 Charles, the apartment building.
525 Charles, thank you.
I just have a question.
Which,
Yes?
Larry, which building is that compared to this?
It's right next to it. There's a driveway in between.
Wait a minute, she's pulling it up.
To the west.
To the west, so on the west on the north side.
Right, so
Okay.
between, and there's a throwaway there. The driveway goes through
Parking
there.
lot, yes.
So my only question is that when they build those buildings, will it create any water coming back onto those driveways? In other words, are those buildings going up and sloping down towards Princess? If they are, then is that going to push water back to my,
I think our
Parking lot.
engineer is here, he can answer that question for us. Please, Bob?
Yes, so you're probably familiar with the site that we're talking about. It's fairly flat right now. But your drive, your eastern drive, does sheet drain in that direction. So they are creating a small swale and storm sewer that's going to pick that up and essentially route it around the south end of the building and discharge it out to the road to the east. Is that Princess, I believe?
yeah.
Yes.
Well, where's the storm going to be?
It's going to be in both that yard in between your drive and the house, and it's also going to wrap around the south end of the new townhome.
Great, that's all I needed to know. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you much, Larry. Okay, commissioners, what's your thoughts, questions, comments? Good?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
I think it's a hard lot to develop, and it's an infill and needs to be done. It's needed to be done, and it'll add value to the neighborhood and looks good. I mean, I don't like the driveway setbacks because I'm one for that, but you have no choice. Lance and I spoke about putting a carriage walk in, but it just doesn't line up with the rest of the stuff, so we have to do what we got to do there. But it's infill and looks like a nice project. Okay. We have a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Motion by Maloney,
Second.
second by Likens. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay. Gentlemen, what's your pleasure here? You scared? or what?
Dave, I'll make a motion to adopt staff's findings and recommend approval of the special use permit for a planned residential development, preliminary and final development plan with subdivision plat, with the one condition that an updated plat of subdivision is needed prior to the committee of the whole.
Thank you for that. Do we have a second to that? Second. Second by Garland. Do we have any comments, questions? Okay, roll call vote, please, Kathy.
You got it. Wheeler is absent. Garland.
Yes.
Maloney.
Yes.
Oxley,
Yes.
Peters. Oh, sorry, he's absent.
Yep,
Likens.
go on.
Yes.
And Quinn.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Zach, that'll come before committee of the whole in this room at 7 o'clock on May 1st. And I'm sure you'll have talks with Lance and Kimberly between now and then. Thank you very much. Okay. Next order of business. We got text amendments to city zoning ordinance to senior assisted living and use classification and attached residential. Who gets that one? Lance?
Yep.
You're on.
I think it's a public hearing, so I think.
I mean, it is a public hearing?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a motion to open a public hearing.
So moved.
Moved by Likens,
Second.
second by Maloney. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Lance?
Alrighty, this is always the most fun aspect of every meeting, that everybody loves to do zoning code modifications, but we have 4 for you tonight, and there will be some additional ones that are coming. The first one is a relatively easy one. We would typically just take care of this as a Scrivener's error, but given that we're having these other ones, we figured we'd highlight it for your attention. In our use table, what is intended to say personal services says personnel services. Something like a personnel services, short-term staffing, and things like that would fall under our typical office setting, but what we intended it to be, that category should have been personal services, i.e. nail care, hair care, different things like that that are in that definition. So, any questions on that one in particular? The second item is related to adding a definition for senior assisted living and putting that in our use table. Currently, the only thing that we have in our use table that reflects anything related to senior care is a line called skilled care facility. Now, typically, that would suggest that it is a medical care facility, i.e. there's nursing, there's constant care 24/7. We don't have anything in our code that represents what is now blossoming into many different categories of supportive living, independent living, assisted living, memory care, things like that we just don't have a category to be able to put those in. So we would like to suggest to add the definition that you see on your screen, as well as identify it in our land use classification or land use table as a permitted use within all the residential districts and a special use within C1, C2, and C2T. Any questions on that one? No. The third item for your pleasure tonight is when we redid the zoning code in 2020 and then adopted it in 2021, one of the categories, one of the districts that we added to that code as an overlay theoretically for the downtown area was a C2T. And basically, what we realized very quickly is that in almost all of our downtown lots that were zone C2, they could never come anywhere close to meeting the bulk standards for any of those lots because they were all too small to meet a highway classification bulk standard. And so we developed that category so that not only could we transition from commercial areas like the downtown mixed-use commercial areas out to our single-family residential in the neighborhood in a way that kind of takes down the density, but it also allowed us to create opportunities for live-work environments where you have an office or something on the ground floor and you want to do your own home above, or if you wanted to do all residential in that. And at the time, we had intended to have apartments, mixed-use commercial, townhomes, all included in that C2T, all as available uses, plus just a straight commercial use, with reduced bulk standards for setback and increased lot coverage and things like that to be more representative of a downtown environment. But we realized that townhomes never made it into that permitted class on that use table. With the advent of Lockport Square coming in and all the conversation that occurred with that and related to the residential and things like that, We not only felt this was a good opportunity to resolve that for the downtown area, but it also gives us another tool in our tool belt to kind of maintain some commercial zoning for commercial uses, but also allow residential uses in areas like a master planned environment that, even though it may have all been zoned highway commercial for a typical power center in the past, those uses change as the market changes. And so this would allow residential uses to be in that area to help to lower the density as you get away from the major intensity uses, but also preserve that commercial zoning in case something only got half built. You don't have to deal with just having residential zoning in some of those areas. With it as a special use, it does give a certain, or as a permitted use in this, it would have to be rezoned, so there is still a level of control, both for the Plan Commission and the City Council, that you have to rezone the property in order to accommodate that. So if it doesn't make sense for the surrounding area or the area where it's being requested, you can always deny that zoning. But for areas where it does make sense, this offers us, again, another tool in our tool belt to help mitigate some of those areas that would otherwise be challenging. Any questions on that?
It seems pretty standard, pretty forward.
And then the last item is allowing for vertical mixed use in our C3. Again, this was particularly prompted by all of the discussion on Lockport Square. And, you know, there was a lot of talk about, boy, I really want vertical mixed use. I'd love for something to be more dense, but I don't want to lose the commercial on the ground floor. A lot of those conversations happen throughout. But as we realized, we couldn't do that even if we wanted to in the C3 district as it currently stands. The only thing that is allowed in C3 is a highway commercial build-to-suit retail facility. So even if somebody came down with $400 million and you wanted to build the next downtown out at Lockport Square or north of 159th or anywhere else, they wouldn't be able to in our C3 district. So we felt that this was a good opportunity to include that. It would retain the commercial level on the first floor, so whether it took 2 levels or 1 level or, you know, was staggered or whatever, it would always retain that commercial ground floor footprint, but it would allow for the apartments or whatever would go above to be the residential component to try and accomplish some of those objectives that many people asked or desired as a part of all that conversation. Any questions on that one? Well, if there aren't any other questions, there is not a motion in your staff report, but we would certainly recommend a motion to approve the changes as presented to the City Council.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
How many motions do we need?
I think we can do it all in one.
Yeah, we can, yeah. Okay, hearing none, I'll have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved by Likens, second by Garland. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, go ahead, Bill. Comments, questions? What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to accept the changes in the zoning code as presented by staff. The Scribner's personal in lieu of personnel, the definition of senior assisted living, the dwelling units attached single-family in the C2T district, and the vertical mixed use in C3. Is that okay?
It is.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Garland. Any questions, comments? Roll call vote, please.
You got it. Wheeler is absent. Garland.
Yes.
Maloney.
Yes.
Oxley.
Yes,
Peters is absent. Likens.
Yes.
Quinn.
Yes.
Motion passes.
thank you. This will go to City Council on
May 1st.
May 1st, in this room at 7.
Yep.
Under new business, anybody have anything?
Just 2 items from our standpoint. I don't remember if there's a staff report or not. we can do it under staff report once we get there.
Okay. No new business, any old business? Any citizens be heard? I have nothing on the chairman's report. Commission report? Lance, go ahead.
All right, staff report. So we will also be coming, kind of as we had mentioned during the Oak Valley hearing, that there are some bulk standards that we want to try and wrestle to the ground related to townhomes specifically. And so we have started to do research on that from a couple other communities, also looking at what we may have previously had in our code before to try and come up with a comprehensive recommendation for how to analyze those as a part of our bulk standards. So that'll be coming to you probably in either a month or two, one or the other. The other item that we are, Sunny is taking a look at is related to temporary signs. There is just some confusing language in our terminology related to the size of the sign, and we think that there was probably some misinterpretation of something along the way. So she is taking a look at that just to clarify a couple items in that definition. So that'll probably come next month, or we'll just lump it together with the townhome. But we want to have it done before fall, obviously, because there's an election that will have many temporary signs out there. And then the last thing that I'll offer is the city council 2 meetings ago had requested that we look into a potential downtown plan update. So we did submit to CMAP for a technical assistance grant from them. They basically shortlist a series of, usually it's 5 or 6 different firms, all firms that we would typically go out to RFP for, even if we didn't submit to it. But they select, I don't know how many communities they're going to select, but they basically select a group of communities to be able to assign a technical assistance consultant team to, and then it's basically paid for by CMAP out of their annual planning funding. So we applied for that. If we are not successful, then we can still consider putting it in the budget for next year, but that's out there, and we'd like to see if we can start to move forward with that.
Okay. Sounds good. Any questions or comments? All right. Hearing none, accept the motion to adjourn. So moved. Moved by Garland. Second by Likens. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.